What if you chose this life before you were even born? Not just the easy part, not just the moments of joy and celebration, but the hardships, the heartbreaks, the losses that felt absolutely unbearable. What if your soul knew exactly what it was signing up for? Albert Einstein believed something that could completely change the way you think about free will and destiny. He believed that everything is determined, that from the moment of the universe's creation, every event, every choice, every path was already written, including yours. Today, I'm going to share what Einstein discovered about the nature of the soul, about choice, and why your life is exactly as it was meant to be. Now, this is not comfortable knowledge. It challenges everything we've been taught about randomness and coincidence. But if you stick around until the end, you'll understand why your soul chose this exact life. And you'll never see your challenges the same way again. The illusion Einstein saw through. Back in 1950, Einstein wrote a letter that revealed the depth of his understanding about human existence. A friend had just lost their young son, and Einstein offered words of comfort that went far beyond ordinary consolation. He wrote that, "A human being is a part of the whole, called by us universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings, as something separated from the rest, a kind of trick of the light, of his consciousness." Read that again. Einstein said that our sense of being separate individuals is a trick of the light, not a metaphor, not poetry. He used the word delusion deliberately. He was saying that the boundaries we perceive between ourselves and everything else are not real. This delusion, Einstein continued, is a kind of prison for us. It restricts us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of empathy, to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. Einstein understood something that most people never grasp: the self you think you are. The individual making choices and experiencing life is not what you really are. You are the universe, experiencing itself through a temporary form. You are not separate from the cosmos. You are the cosmos. Having forgotten its own nature, we are all stardust. This was not religious belief for Einstein. This was the conclusion of decades of scientific inquiry. His physics showed him that space and time are not what they appear to be, that matter and energy are interchangeable, that the observer affects what is observed. Reality itself was far stranger than common sense suggested, and within this strange reality, the soul was not separate from the body. It was another aspect of the same unified existence, the determinist who freed us. Here's where most people misunderstand Einstein. He was a strict determinist. He explicitly stated, in multiple interviews and letters, that he did not believe in free will. In 1931, Einstein explained his position with a striking analogy. He said, "If a leaf, in the act of completing its eternal fall from a tree, were gifted with self-consciousness, it would feel thoroughly convinced that it was falling of its own accord." Think about that image. A leaf falling from a tree. Believing it chose to fall, believing it could have gone a different direction, believing its path was the result of its own decisions, Einstein continued that a being, endowed with higher insight and more perfect intelligence, watching man and his doings, would smile about man's illusion that he was acting according to his own free will. We are all leaves, falling on our paths, convinced we are choosing. But Einstein saw from a higher perspective. He saw that our choices are part of a larger pattern, a pattern that was set in motion long before we were born. He said it directly. Everything is determined, the beginning as well as the end, by forces over which we have no control. It is determined for the insect as well as for the star, human beings, vegetables, or cosmic dust. We all dance to a mysterious tune, intoned in the distance by an invisible player. Now here is the part that most people miss. This was not a pessimistic view for Einstein. It was liberating. Einstein quoted the philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer throughout his life. Man can do what he wants, but he cannot will what he wills. Einstein said this line accompanied him in all situations throughout his life and reconciled him with the actions of others, even when they were rather painful. When you understand that people cannot help being who they are, that their actions arise from causes they did not choose, something shifts. Judgment falls away. Compassion becomes possible. The prison of taking everything personally begins to dissolve. But there is something deeper here, something Einstein pointed to, but never fully explained. If everything is determined, if your life was set before you were born, then your soul knew. Your soul chose. What if your soul already knew? Consider what happens before birth. From Einstein's perspective, if time is an illusion, as Einstein demonstrated with relativity, then there is no real difference between past, present, and future. All moments exist simultaneously, in what physicists call block time, or the eternalist view of the universe. Einstein wrote to the family of his lifelong friend Michael Bess after Bess died. He said that, for us believing physicists, the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. If this is true, then the life you are living now already exists in its entirety. The challenges you face, the joys you experience, the lessons you learn, all of it exists right now, in the eternal block of space-time. Your birth and your death are equally present. The moment you are reading these words was always there, waiting for you to arrive at it. From this perspective, what we call the soul is not something trapped in time, moving from past to future. The soul exists outside of time. It can see the whole picture. It knows what the temporary human form will experience, and it chose, not because it wanted suffering, but because, from outside of time, suffering looks different. From the eternal perspective, even the most difficult life is a brief flicker, a learning experience, a chance for the infinite to know itself through limitation. Einstein's friend David Bohm, the physicist who worked with Einstein at Princeton, developed these ideas further. Bohm proposed what he called the implicate order, a deeper layer of reality from which everything we see unfolds. In this implicate order, everything is connected. Nothing is truly separate. The soul choosing a life is like a wave choosing to rise from the ocean. The wave does not exist apart from the ocean. It's the ocean, temporarily expressing itself as a distinct form. When a wave crashes, nothing is lost. The water returns to the water. You are the universe, temporarily expressing itself as you, and from the universal perspective. This particular expression was chosen for reasons we can only glimpse. Why would a soul choose suffering? This is the question that haunts everyone who grapples with these ideas. If the soul chooses, why would it choose pain? Why would it choose loss? Why would it choose lives that seem so unfair? Einstein's philosophy offers an answer, though he never spelled it out directly. Remember, Einstein believed the body and soul are not two different things, but only two different ways of perceiving the same thing. Following Spinoza, he saw that everything is one substance, one reality, experiencing itself in infinite ways. From this perspective, what we call suffering takes on a different meaning. It's not something happening to a separate self. It's the universe experiencing limitation, the infinite knowing what it feels like to be finite, the eternal, tasting mortality. Why would the infinite want to experience limitation? For the same reason you might play a challenging game, even though you could choose an easy one. For the same reason artists create tragedy as well as comedy. For the same reason the ocean produces storms as well as calm seas. Experience itself has value, not just pleasant experience, all experience. The soul is not seeking comfort, it is seeking completeness, and completeness includes difficulty. Consider what you have learned from your hardest moments, not what you learned intellectually, but how you were changed, the person you became because of what you survived, the depth you developed, the empathy that arose from your own pain. Could you have developed that depth without the difficulty? Could you have gained that wisdom through pleasure alone? The soul that chose your life was not naive about what it was choosing. It saw the whole picture. It knew the pain would come, and it knew what the pain would create. This does not mean we should seek suffering or stay in harmful situations. Einstein was clear that our task is to widen our circle of empathy, to free ourselves from the prison of the separate self, to grow toward love and understanding. But it does mean that the suffering you have already experienced was not a mistake. It was part of a larger pattern, a pattern your soul understood before you drew your first breath. The evidence in your own life. Let me ask you something. Have you ever looked back at a difficult period in your life and realized it led you somewhere important? Maybe a relationship that ended painfully taught you what you really needed in a partner. Maybe a job loss pushed you toward work that was more meaningful. Maybe an illness forced you to slow down and discover what actually mattered at the time. These experiences felt random, unfair, pointless, but in retrospect, they were exactly what needed to happen. Einstein would say they were always going to happen. The outcome was determined from the beginning. Your resistance, your pain, your eventual acceptance, all of it was part of the pattern. But here is what makes this profound, rather than depressing. The pattern is not separate from you. You are the pattern. The universe is not doing something to you. You are the universe doing something through you. When you suffer, the cosmos suffers. When you grow, the cosmos grows. When you understand, the cosmos understands itself a little more deeply. Your soul did not choose this life from the fights outside, like someone selecting an item from a menu. Your soul chose this life by being this life. The choice and the experience are one and the same. This is what Einstein meant when he said body and soul are two different ways of perceiving the same thing. From one perspective, you are a limited human being having experiences. From another perspective, you are the eternal choosing to have exactly these experiences. Both are true. Neither is complete without the other. The Schopenhauer key. Einstein returned again and again to Schopenhauer's insight. Man can do what he wants, but he cannot will what he wills. This sounds like a philosophical puzzle, but it points to something profound about the nature of choice. You can choose your actions. You can decide to do this or that, but you cannot choose your desires. You cannot choose what you want. The wanting itself arises from somewhere beyond your control. Think about it. You did not choose to want the things you want. You did not decide to desire love or success or understanding. These desires appeared in you. They feel like yours. But where did they come from? Einstein would say they came from the same place everything comes from, the fundamental ground of being, the mathematical order that underlies existence. God, in Spinoza's sense of the word. Your deepest desires are not random accidents. They are the universe expressing its intention through you. What you truly want is what the cosmos wants, through your particular form. This means that the life you are living is not a test imposed by an outside God. It is not a punishment for past failures. It is not a random assignment in a meaningless cosmos. Your life is what infinity wanted to experience through your particular window. Your challenges are what the eternal chose to face through your temporary form. Your growth is the universe, evolving through you. The freedom Einstein found in determinism was this: when you stop fighting what is, when you accept that your life is exactly as it was meant to be, you can finally relax into being what you are. The struggle against destiny ends, and, paradoxically, that is when real change becomes possible. Not change toward some imagined, better life. Change toward becoming more fully what you already are. Change toward expressing more completely what the cosmos intended through you. The practical application. If you have stayed this long, you are ready to ask the practical question: what do I do with this knowledge? Einstein gave us the answer. He said our task must be to free ourselves from the prison of the illusion of separateness by widening our circle of empathy. This is not a passive teaching. It is deeply active. You are called to expand, to include more in your caring, to recognize yourself in ways others. Every person you meet is another wave in the same ocean. Every living thing is the same universe expressing itself differently. When you harm another, you harm yourself. When you help another, you help yourself. This is not metaphor. This is physics, taken to its deepest implications. Einstein spent his final decades working on the unified field theory. He was trying to show mathematically that all forces in the universe are aspects of one underlying reality. He believed that gravity and electromagnetism and all the other forces were connected at a deeper level. The same principle applies to souls. What appears as many separate beings is actually one being and appearing as many. The boundaries we see are useful for navigating daily life, but they are not ultimately real. When you understand this, competition transforms into cooperation, judgment transforms into empathy, fear transforms into love. Not because you force these changes, but because you finally see clearly where, according to Einstein, your soul chose this life to have exactly the experiences you are having. But it also chose this life to wake up within it, to remember what it really is, to see through the trick of the light of separateness, and recognize itself as the infinite, temporarily wearing a human form. This moment of recognition might be why you are here right now, why you found this video, why these words are reaching you at this particular point in your journey. Before I share Einstein's final insight about why your soul chose specifically you, I want to ask for something. If this teaching is resonating with a truth you already felt but could not articulate, consider supporting this channel through Super Thanks. This is not ordinary content. What I am sharing challenges comfortable beliefs. It offers something far more valuable than comfort. It offers understanding. Your support helps this message reach others who are ready for it. Click Super Thanks now. Then stay for the revelation that ties everything together. The reason your soul chose not just this life, but specifically you. The specific choice. Here is what Einstein's philosophy ultimately points to, though he never stated it this directly. The soul did not just choose a life, it chose to be you. Not a generic human, not a random assignment. You, specifically. With all your particular characteristics, your sensitivity is not an accident. Your interests are not random. Your way of seeing the world is not arbitrary. These are the precise tools the universe needed for the exact experience it wanted to have. Think about what makes you different from everyone else. Your particular combination of strengths and weaknesses, your unique history of joys and wounds, the specific questions that haunt you, the particular beauties that move you. No one else has exactly this combination. No one else could have the experiences you are having in exactly the way you are having them. The cosmos needed your particular window, to see what only you can see. Einstein saw body and soul as two perspectives on one reality. This means your physical form, your brain, your nervous system, your specific genetics. All of these are not separate from your soul. They are your soul, expressed as matter. They are how the infinite chose to limit itself for this particular journey. Your body is not a prison for your soul. Your body is how your soul chose to experience finitude. Every limitation you have is a choice the Eternal made. Every capability you have is an intention the infinite brought into form. This changes how you relate to yourself. Your flaws are not mistakes. They are the specific constraints the cosmos wanted for this experience. Your gifts are not random luck. They are the specific capabilities needed for what your life is meant to accomplish. You are not here to become someone else. You are here to become fully yourself, the self that was chosen before time began. What your life is teaching the universe. Every experience you have adds something to the total understanding of existence. Einstein believed that consciousness is fundamental to reality. The observer is not separate from what is observed. The universe knows itself through observation. Your observation is unique. What you see, no one else sees. In exactly the same way, what you feel, no one else feels. With your particular quality, what you understand, you understand. Through your irreplaceable perspective. When you struggle, the universe learns what struggle feels like through your specific form. When you love, the universe experiences love through your unique heart. When you finally understand something that confused you for years, the cosmos gains that understanding. Through you, nothing is wasted. No experience is pointless. Even the moments that felt meaningless were the universe knowing what meaninglessness feels like. Even the suffering that seemed purposeless was the infinite tasting, a particular flavor of pain. This does not justify causing suffering. Einstein was clear that ethics matter. Even in a determined universe, the empathy he called for is not weakened by determinism. If anything, it is strengthened. We are all in this together, all dancing to the same invisible tune, but it does mean that your suffering has not been in vain. Whatever you have been through, it has added to the total experience of existence. Your soul knew this when it chose, and at some level, you still know it now. The remembering. Einstein spent his final years in quiet contemplation at Princeton. He had revolutionized physics. He had glimpsed the mathematical order behind existence. He had understood things that most humans never approach. And yet, he spent his last decades not trying to achieve more, but trying to understand more deeply what he had already seen. The unified field, the single reality, behind all apparent diversity, the one that appears as many. In 1955, shortly before his death, his lifelong friend, Michel Besso, died. Einstein wrote to Besso's family. He said that now Besso had departed from this strange world, a little ahead of him, that it signified nothing. That for believing physicists, the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. Einstein knew that death was not an ending, not because of religious faith, but because his physics showed him. That time is not what we think it is. The moment of death exists alongside the moment of birth, alongside every other moment, all present in the eternal now. Your soul did not enter this life from somewhere else, and it will not go somewhere else. When this life ends, it is always where it always was, in the eternal present, experiencing time as a journey, but never actually leaving its ground. And when you remember this, everything changes. Fear of death dissolves. Anxiety about the future relaxes. Regret about the past releases its grip. You realize you are exactly where you chose to be, when you chose to be there. The task remaining. Einstein gave us a task. Free yourself from the prison of the trick of the light of separateness. Widen your circle of empathy. Embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. This is not just ethical advice. This is instructions for awakening. As you expand your empathy, you begin to experience yourself as more than just a separate individual. You start to feel your connection to everything. You begin to remember who you really are. Your soul chose this life for growth, not growth in the worldly sense of achievement and accumulation, but growth in expanding awareness. Growth toward remembering the wholeness that was never actually lost. Every challenge you face is an opportunity for this growth. Every relationship is a mirror, showing you aspects of yourself. Every difficult person is the universe testing whether you can maintain empathy. Every moment of beauty is a reminder of what lies behind the surface of things, a little glimpse beyond the veil. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are the author of them, writing from outside of time itself. You are both the dreamer and the dream, the wave and the ocean, the temporary form and the eternal ground. Einstein saw this. His physics proved it. His philosophy articulated it. His life embodied it. Now, you've heard it too, and hearing it changes something. A seed is planted. A memory stirs deep inside. Something in you recognizes a truth it always knew, but had simply forgotten. This is why your soul chose this life, not just for the experiences, but for this moment, this awakening, this remembering. The question for you. I've shared what Einstein understood about why your soul chose this life. Now, I want to hear from you. In the comments below, tell me, what challenge in your life suddenly makes sense? When seen from this perspective, what difficulty can you now recognize as something your soul might have chosen? Write, chosen, if you feel that your life was selected by your soul for specific purposes. Write, random, if you believe existence is purely accidental. I read every comment. I respond to those who engage deeply with this material. Your perspective matters because you see things no one else can see. Einstein said, there are only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. When you understand that your soul chose this life, and everything becomes a miracle. Every moment is exactly what was intended. Every experience, one is the universe, knowing itself only through you. The choice of how to live, with that understanding, is yours to make. Or, perhaps, it was made long before you were born. Subscribe for more revelations about what Einstein discovered, and they didn't want us to know. Share this video with someone who needs to understand why their life is exactly as it was meant to be. And remember, you are not separate. You are not random. You are not a mistake. You are the universe, choosing to be you. Until next time, keep remembering who you really are.